Lots of news out of training camp today, even though it was a light practice. Let's not waste any time and get right into it. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Talking Jets with Tigo. My name is Tigo, and today we had an unpadded practice. We are simulating game week this week, so we're doing earlier practices with meetings afterwards, earlier press conferences for the coaching staff and the players after all of the meetings and all of that such. So it was a little bit of a weird timing today. No pads for today's practice, so not a lot of really massive reps that we can go over. There's a couple of things that we can talk about and we'll get to talk about. But today's practice was huge for the New York Jets for a couple of reasons. The announcement that Mekhi Becton will be playing right tackle with the ones most of this week and will be starting at right tackle against the New York Giants. I did a whole video talking about that. If you haven't seen that, go watch that video. I will get right here at the end of the video, so make sure to watch that video. But today's practice was really important because we finally got to see and hear the injury report. We heard that Joe Tippmann got hurt in last week's game. We were all trying to figure out what was going on with Israel Abanikanda last week. We got word over the weekend that Duane Brown was going to come off of the PUP list. So what's the rundown on the injury report? Let me go over it with you. I got it all right here. So let's start with Tippmann, our second-round rookie. He was dealing with a knee. He should be out for the next couple of weeks, but should be ready for week 1, according to Robert Saleh, which is huge news. He has such positional versatility and is a great option and a great backup for the New York Jets at center right now as he learns and hones in his craft to be fully ready to be one of the best centers in the NFL, like we all know that he can be. Duane Brown is currently in Houston getting his shoulder evaluated, and as long as everything goes well, should be coming off of the physically unable to perform list this week. My expectation is if that nothing happens, he comes off the PUP list tomorrow because he should be back in Jersey tomorrow. Carl Lawson is still out with his back, but from what I was able to pick up on the subtle cues, it seems more like they're holding him out because they don't want to risk injuring the back muscle. Is such a long and weird and awkward muscle, especially when you're straining in the defensive end position, and they would rather have Carl Lawson back at 100%, and they're not worried about his work ethic or his skill or anything like that. They know how good Carl Lawson is, and they're holding him out until he feels 100%. Corey Davis is out, but not with an injury. It is with a personal matter. I'm not going to spread rumors or anything, but from what I have been able to hear regarding what's going on with Corey Davis, it is something that's relatively serious going on with his family. So thoughts and prayers go out to him, and hoping that none of that is actually true and that it's just something that's lingering or something like that. Izzy has a thigh contusion, which is great news because it's not a knee. It's not anything. It's a muscle issue. He should be out for 2 weeks, so he'll be back on the team for week 1, which is great. And then Kenny Yeboah is out with a hamstring, should be out a few weeks. Now, the reality is that if he's going to be out a few weeks, he's probably not going to be making the roster. I don't really ever think that he was in the competition to make the roster, unfortunately, but that's how it is. But guys that all came off of the injury report this week, which was massive news for this team. Alijah Vera-Tucker was out there and practicing, and they were doing a good thing with Alijah Vera-Tucker, holding him out of some reps, putting him in some reps, and really managing his health and his workload. Again, kind of like what we saw with Mekhi Becton, but with a much more serious injury on the knee, not trying to re-aggravate it. There's no need to rush Alijah Vera-Tucker back. We know how good Alijah Vera-Tucker is, so you can let him progress relatively slowly. Laken Tomlinson also came off of the injury report today, fully practiced with the team, did every rep, did everything. He was 100% ready to go, which is great news for the team. That means that we've got 80% of our offensive line out there taking reps, which is great. The only player that's missing right now is Duane Brown, and that is good news. Jeremy Ruckert came back off of the injury report and was practicing with the team fully today. And everyone's camp favorite, Chaz Surratt, coaching staff favorite, was on the field today off of the injury report practicing. You love to see that. I think the biggest news today out of camp when it comes to actual reps being taken was Breece Hall was in on 11-on-11 drills. The expectation is that him and Dalvin Cook will not play on Saturday's game. They're still going to manage their injury. But we got to see way more of Breece Hall today, and it was really good being able to cut side to side. We know that he's got that explosive speed and all of that stuff. And him coming back from injury is incredibly surprising to me how quickly he's been able to turn it around. It's phenomenal. Becton and AVT partnering up on the right side really did wonders for this offensive line, because the offensive line, again, this is without pads, which should be an advantage for the defense because the offense has less things to hold on to and grab onto. Even with all of that, the right side of the offensive line was solid. They had ran the ball to the right a ton today, pulling Elijah Vera Tucker over the top of Mekhi Becton and getting him going up field, getting Mekhi Becton out in space and moving him. And Highway 77 and 75, man, like the right side of the New York Jets offensive line is absolutely solid. Now all we need is the left side to match that right side. And once we saw that the offensive line was able to hold up in protection, you could really see where Aaron Rodgers shines, getting the ball out quickly to his receivers and just hitting people in stride, hitting people in motion, getting the ball out quickly. This was one of the much, much better days for the offense, for the offensive line as a whole. And you can see how big of a difference putting in Mekhi Becton at right tackle, someone that we know can protect up against the right side, but also how important and how big it is having all of our starters minus Dwayne Brown on the offensive line. I think the panic on the offensive line was definitely warranted, but I think a little premature. Now that we've got these guys back on the field and doing all this stuff, the protection really held up. But again, a really, really light day. The Jets secondary is still out of this world good. Sauce Gardner, Tony Adams is just everywhere on the field. Jordan Whitehead really being able to play the role that he should be playing, you know, as that strong safety, because Tony Adams is roving in the backfield. DJ Reed, man, is still looking like one of the biggest steals in free agency ever. Michael Carter is so good, and a really, really good day from some of the reports that I've been able to get out of camp for Quincy Williams. He looked really good in today's practice. Coverage was excellent. He was there to make the tackles when he needed to be, just in really, really good spots. The defense had a really good day, but it wasn't at the expense of the offense, because the offense also had a really good day. The defense was playing their game plan and their scheme, and the offense was just taking what the defense gave them, and they were moving the chains, and they were doing all the stuff. It was a great day of practice for both sides of the ball, and which is something that we have been desperately wanting and pursuing for a while now. You know, it's always been the defense winning at the expense of the offense, but today the offense did one hell of a job. Let me know what you guys think about all of the news coming out of camp today. A lot of people coming off of the injury report, which was great, and not just that, a lot of the news of people that were injured in last week's game not being as serious as we thought. Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, watch this video, and go Jets.